Hi guys, hi, hello, how's it going today? Hopefully today finds you well. Today we are doing my video on my drawer of shame. So this is the drawer in my collection where I hold all the palettes that I haven't used yet or reviewed yet. So there are a couple of palettes in my drawer of shame that I have used already. Those are two Natasha Denona palettes. I just haven't reviewed them. But I have 18 palettes here to share with you. I am ashamed are in my collection and I have not used them yet because it's not like they're new. Like they've been in my collection for a hot minute. I think there's a couple of them that are maybe newer. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, please keep on watching. For those of you new here, hi, my name is Donna. I'm a lover of all things high-end, colorful beauty and self-care. I also work in the beauty industry as a field leader for Ulta Beauty, and I get a lot of education in my position. I like to bring you that education here on my channel, but ultimately I'm just out here because I like to talk about makeup. And if you like to talk about makeup, I know that you'll find something that you love here. I'm also kind of a kick in the pants to hang out with, so I hope that you'll want to stay. With that said, let's talk about some makeup. All right, so there's a lot here, and some of these you maybe have heard me, actually, you definitely have heard me talk about already because 3 of them specifically were in my one-offs video, recorded on the same day, in the same clothes, with the same makeup, all the things. So some of them I have never made mention of on my channel. Some of them are from brands that I don't like. Some of them are from brands that I don't know much about. Some of them are from brands I love. So there's that. Let's jump in because there's a lot to go over. I think I can hit a couple of them like in groups, this being one. So I do have these. These are the LA Girl Foreplay palettes. And I have 4 different renditions of this Foreplay palette. This one is Juicy, which is like warm tone, orangey, pinky. This one is So Sweet. Definitely our purple mauve version. Beautiful palette. This one is Seduce. Appears to be like neutral taupey, maybe a little bit. And then this one is Cowgirl, which has like basics with a pop of green, it looks like. I mean, look, I love LA Girl. I do. I've never tried an eyeshadow palette from them, however, that I've loved. Those are a different format than eyeshadow palettes from them that I've tried in the past. I did try the LA Girl like Festy Bestie palette. I did not have the best time with the Festy Bestie palette, so I'm not sure about these guys. If you all know anything about the Foreplay palettes, please let me know. I would be interested to hear your thoughts. These are super affordable palettes, but I think like the background of them makes you feel like there's something they're not. Like this one has like a green background, but really the only green in this palette is this one here. The rest are very plain. They just don't call to me. With that said, like they are in my drawer of shame. I will probably try them. We will see. And those I've had since this last field leadership conference. So they've been in my collection for about 6 months at this point in time, right? Yeah, October makes 6 months that they've been in my collection. Another one that's been in my collection for that 6 months time that I also got in gratis would be this guy here, which is the Revolution Ultimate Nudes palette in medium. Revolution is not a brand that I 100% love. As a matter of fact, everything I try from them, I always hate myself for having purchased, especially in terms of eyeshadow palettes. So I do have an idea in store to get some use out of this one. There's 2 more that came in gratis to me last field leadership conference, so that have been in this drawer of shame for 6 months time. This one I'm not sure why I haven't used yet. I think it's just because it's basic. This is the Tarte Tartlet in Bloom. And I have heard such great things about this eyeshadow palette. And to be honest, Tarte has, for the most part, one of my favorite eyeshadow formulas for their mattes. Maybe not for their shimmers, but for their mattes. And this is mostly matte. And the last one that came to me through conference that I got in gratis is this one, and it is the Urban Decay X Smiley palette. So this is the color story of the palette. I am really interested in this yellow and this blue, but the rest of the palette is very basic. I also am not a huge fan of Urban Decay eyeshadows. To be honest, I have two Urban Decay palettes that I really, really love, and that is the Born to Run and then the Urban Decay Electric palette. Totally old school, probably shouldn't be putting it on my eyes anymore. But other than that, like, I don't love their Naked formula, which I think is why I haven't pulled this one in yet. It's such a little tiny palette, easy to use probably, and I'm intrigued by the color story. I haven't used it yet. I have this one by Hip Dot. This is the Witchy Warms Press Pigment and Glitter palette. This one intrigues me because it is just so beautiful, and the fact that they say glitter palette really makes me want to go because I just don't think any of these is really a glittery formula. It is a beautiful eyeshadow palette, but again, it's one of those ones that I just don't pull for, I think, because it's just so basic, and that is obviously not me, not like my makeup aesthetic. Although I have been doing quite the pretty basic eye look lately. I also have this one by Patrick Starr's One Size. This is the Visionary palette, and this is a beautiful palette. I think I showed it in my one-offs video. This is a really beautiful palette, but also really basic. Like, it's got this couple rows over here with pops of different colors in it, but for the most part, it's a brown eyeshadow palette. So I think when I think of like the palettes that are in my drawer of shame, a lot of them are in there because they're just very basic eyeshadow palettes that don't influence me to want to use them because they're just boring. So then I have I believe four of them that came to me in subscription boxes. This one cracks me up, and it might crack you up too. This one is the ColourPop Lit palette. This is so old, you guys. This is in my drawer of shame, and it is so old. I want to say this came out. Yeah, it's a Bretman Rock collab. How long has that been a thing? Like, it's so old. It's pretty. I don't have much ColourPop in my collection. And this reminds me of a ColourPop palette that I either decluttered not that long ago or still have in my collection. The Cute AF palette, or whatever the other name, I don't know. It had a name on either side of it. This reminds me of that palette. I loved that palette. I love the color story of that palette and would probably use that palette today, but this reminds me of it, and I haven't used it. Also, come to think of it, I don't know that this came to me in a beauty box. I can't for the life of me fathom which one it would have come to me in. Maybe a BoxyCharm. I wouldn't have purchased it. That much I know. ColourPop has always intrigued me, but never been something that I have like went out and purchased. I do think it came to me in a BoxyCharm. Maybe it came to me in a BoxyCharm. Not sure. It's so old, I have no idea. Then I have these two from Shayna B. These I know came in a BoxyCharm. I think Shayna B is probably that brand that is a beauty box brand. So I have the Shayna B Miami, which is really beautiful, but also very, very plain Jane. The only one that really intrigues me, honestly, is this one right here, which it looks very olive, and it's a shimmer. Yeah, it's pretty. It really does intrigue me, but I could probably get rid of this and not think twice about it, not bat an eye. This one is Miami Nights, and this one I know I could get rid of and not bat an eye because this is a straight up glitter. Look at the color story of this. That is just stunning, and this is like that perfect like gray toned with the blue kick that I love. This is a really pretty like burgundy. This is a really pretty like deep matte burgundy. I don't know. I think that I wish that like deeper gray in this palette was in this palette, because then I could just get rid of the one palette and keep just one. I also have this Violet Voss Essentials 2 palette. This did come to me in a BoxyCharm as well. And I love Violet Voss. I think I don't love this palette though because of the color story. It's a little confused in my humble opinion. You don't have much for mattes down here with all the like crazy wild colors. You have this matte and this matte only. This one does look like a satin. I think that one I could use as a matte, but the rest, like I can't see any of these pairing with any of these up here in a conducive way, to be honest, without looking disjointed on your eye. And then all these up here I think would make a beautiful eye look because there are 3 mattes and then 2 shimmers. So that's a perfect construction of like a 5-pan eyeshadow palette in my humble opinion. But this down here, it looks like it's 2 different 5-pan palettes, and this one isn't a 5-pan palette that I think that you could use in and of itself because there's only the one matte. With that said, I don't mind using a shimmer anywhere in my eye look, or a satin anywhere in my eye looks, but I don't think I could use that satin. It does look like it's got a lot of like sheeniness to it, and maybe even a flip. It's a really pretty eyeshadow palette though. I will keep it. I will use it. I love Voss eyeshadows. They're really, really nice. So then I have these two. What was I thinking? This one, it's an old collab. It's the Morphe X Mickey and Friends collab, and this is the Truth Be Bold eyeshadow palette. And this one I did pick up at TJ Maxx. And I picked it up at TJ Maxx because I actually am intrigued by the color story on this one and really just want an eyeshadow palette that has this color story. These are Morphe. I am not a Morphe connoisseur. As a matter of fact, I don't love most of what I get from Morphe, but I did purchase this probably 2.5 years ago, if not more. I also don't mind Mickey. Mickey's fun, but this color story is my jam. I love it. With that said, I do think that this is more of a like a companion palette. I don't think that I would use this as a palette all on its own. So maybe I should just put it into my collection because I'm never going to do like a palette roulette on this palette. Like, unless I put it in with something else. Maybe I'll put it in to the mix with, I don't know, that Urban Decay Smiley palette. Maybe that would be a good mixture because that has a yellow in it as well. It also has a blue, which might go good with these. It was like $7 at TJ Maxx. And solely because I was interested in the color story of this palette. And then there's this one that I actually very much bought for my daughter. Don't you tell her I said that. And I bought it for my daughter, and then I got it home. And I have done this only one other time. But I got it home, and I was like, oh, that's really pretty. I'm just not sure I want to, but now looking at it, like, why didn't I think I might give this to her after all. This is the Morphe X Pony Constellation Sky. Yeah, this is totally not me, right? I need to quit looking at it and going, oh my gosh, look at the cool, like, marbled, like, earth looking palettes in here. I'm gonna give this to her. Don't you tell her that I tried to keep it for myself. And let's not tell her that it's super old. Let's just pretend like I just got it for her. Like I just found it and I gave it to her. I'm going to take this out of my drawer, my makeup drawer of shame, and I'm going to give it to my daughter. That's what we're doing. Well, look at that. We're down to one less palette in my makeup drawer of shame. Because I shouldn't have been in there in the first place. I have one Viseart palette. This Viseart palette, I do believe came to me in an Ipsy. This one is the Petite Pro Petite Pro Do. I don't know. Really pretty, really very basic. I love Viseart eyeshadows, so this is not going anywhere. I won't get rid of this. I do love that the pans in these little tiny palettes do come out and you can put them into like other palettes. That one seemed to have been falling out, and then I went and stuck my fingernail in it to shove it back in. Such a little tiny 8-pan eyeshadow palette, really great for travel. And I do have another one of these that I think would be good to like mix and match with this one. So really excited to have this in my collection. I just haven't used it yet, and I think it's because it's boring. And then I have 3 that I really don't know why I haven't used yet, because I do think that they are exciting palettes, like interesting if nothing else. But this is the ABH Cosmos palette. This is what the palette looks like, and then the inside of it looks like this. I've heard really, really great things about this palette. I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. I do know that I am super intrigued to use it, and pulling it out and looking at it right now makes me excited to put this on my face. There's other things that I'm purchasing that I'm more excited to use, and I think that that's a problem. I need to quit buying palettes until I get all of these palettes out of my drawer, because what happens is I buy a palette that I'm interested in using, and then I put it into my drawer of shame until I've done a palette roulette on it. Even if it's a palette I use, like I said, I have 2 palettes in there from Natasha Denona that I've used. I just haven't done a review on them, so they are in that drawer because I haven't done a review on them. But otherwise, they go into that drawer. As soon as I purchase them and I've gone over them with you, the purchase, then I put them into that drawer until I review them. Well, I just keep on buying palettes that I really want to use and put on my face. So I need to quit buying palettes until all of these are done and reviewed. Then I have the Sydney Grace Love's Journey. Now this one I didn't purchase, but this one came to me as a free gift with purchase. This one is the deep version because I just like a darker eyeshadow palette than their light toned ones. They are a indie brand that does light, medium, and deep in all of their eyeshadow palettes, which I think is fantastic. This is a very beautiful cool tone eyeshadow palette with a couple pops of like warmer colors. I just got this in August, I think it came to me, so it hasn't been in there for very long. I'm happy it hasn't been in there for very long. This one also hasn't been in there for very long, obviously, because it just came out a few months ago. This one, I know this is an old palette, but this also hasn't been in there for very long. I just picked this one up, I think, right before we moved here. I bought some stuff from Glamlight, and this was part of what I bought from Glamlight. So this is the Michaela Pot 2. And this is what it looks like. And it is a largely green eyeshadow palette with some like blue pops and purple pops in there. I love this palette. I am so excited to get this on my face, but it reminds me a lot of the palette that I am currently using, the one that is on my eyes right now by Blend Bunny. Tell me those aren't super similar. Like, I didn't realize that they were so similar when I purchased the Blend Bunny ones, which I think came second to these ones in my collection. But yeah, so pretty. Also so pretty. And I can't wait to get it on my face. So with that said, those are the eyeshadow palettes that I have in my drawer of shame. Now, I have to be honest with you. This is just eyeshadow palettes. There's a lot of makeup products that could have went into that drawer of shame. I think of some blushes in my collection. I can think of some bronzers in my collection. And some highlighters for sure that could be in that drawer of shame that aren't in that drawer of shame because I put them away where they're supposed to go because I don't review them on my channel. But when I think about it in my Shop My Stashes, I do try and put my newest products into my Shop My Stash. But there's so much in there that I haven't used. I have a concealer that I bought that I haven't used. I have foundations I've bought that I haven't used. Like, I need to stop. I need to be more frugal. Everything is more expensive over here, and I need to think about that and be more frugal. I'm super excited that we have one that's coming out that shouldn't have even been in there in the first place. So that just reminds me to not do that anymore. So that's it. That's all I have. That is my drawer of shame in terms of palettes. Please let me know what you guys think, and please let me know which of these palettes you'd like to see next in my palette roulette. Like, give me your lineup, right? Give me your lineup of the palettes in order that you'd like to see in my next palette roulette. Sometimes I do more than one palette in my palette roulette. Y'all know that if you've been around for a while. I would be happy to do any of these palettes in a palette roulette, and maybe I'll even stick several of them together. But don't choose this one, because this one's going to my daughter. I'm getting rid of it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I appreciate all of you for being here, because I know that you don't have to. I do hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you're new here, I do hope that you want to subscribe before you go. I hope that you and yours are well, that you are all safe and healthy and getting along as best you can, and that you are loving each other, but loving each other from afar. And until next time, guys. Bye, friends.